Welcome back. Good luck out there.
Submarine has arrived. Please stand at a minimum of 5 steps away from the hatch until it is fully opened. Welcome back, user. Thruster speed has been adjusted to your preference. Do not let go of the handlebars during operation. Thank you. Notice, this equipment is expensive. Mishandlement will result in contractual termination.
Goodbye.
Without any hard evidence, we can't rule out other options just yet. From what happened back in class, we can see that Peter here seems to have a fear of spiders, also known as arachnophobia. But what's really scary were those fractions on the math quiz. Seeing his reaction, it definitely could be true that he's just a nervous kid with an overactive imagination. However, there are some major problems with this logic. Are you afraid of spiders? Because arachnophobia is actually extremely common for people all over the world. It's not unreasonable to think that someone who's otherwise perfectly rational would have this fear, especially an 8-year-old kid like Peter here. Whether he's easily scared or not, there have been a lot of warning signs that he could be dealing with something more dangerous than rats, spiders, or any other creepy crawlies. Right now, the evidence is pointing towards the early stages of an attack by something demonic. For example, when it knocks on the wall, it always seems to knock 3 times. In the world of paranormal investigations, hearing 3 knocks is not good. One belief is that it's meant as a warning sign that you're soon to receive bad news, or that yourself or someone close to you has passed away, or will in either 3 days, weeks, or months.
Back by popular demand, grilled barbecue ribs. A half rack of Duroc pork ribs grilled to perfection and
or will in either 3 days, weeks, or months. When dealing with specifically demonic spirits, it's believed that they'll knock 3 times to mock the Holy Trinity, meaning that the family might have more than just a rat problem after all. Demons are also known to go specifically after children, especially kids who are emotionally vulnerable, like Peter here. He's lonely at home and doesn't fit in at school, making him an easy target. The fact that it speaks to him in a child's voice means that it's trying to come off as a potential friend, which will get Peter to let his guard down and allow it to move forward with the next steps of the possession process. It's also interesting to note that it uses the voice of a little girl, just like the girl who apparently went missing on Halloween night a few years back. Again, this could just be a coincidence, but it's all adding up to paint a picture that raises more than a few red flags for anyone who's familiar with the methods of demonic possession. If I were Peter's parents, I'd want to take any steps necessary to make sure that my son and the rest of the family were safe, no matter how illogically and unlikely the possible explanations may seem at the time. For starters, they should ask the kid for more details about exactly what he's been experiencing. Once they had this info and started doing some research, then the warning signs of a demonic attack quickly become clear. The next step is to explain to the kid what you suspect is really going on, and warn him not to interact with the voice in any way, but have him seen by a doctor and a psychologist first, just to rule out any more logical causes for the behaviors. If this doesn't work, then it's time to turn to the paranormal experts and take him to visit a medium or priest so that they can see if there are any evil spirits latched onto him and give you some professional advice on what to do about it. Also, they should thoroughly cleanse the home of any negative energies, either by burning sage themselves or by contracting a spiritual healer to do it officially. If they've got a Ouija board or any old toys that were found already in the house when they moved in that Peter has become extremely fond of, then it's time to get rid of those ASAP, because they could be acting as a conduit for the spirit to communicate with him. Finally, since Dad's convinced that it's only a rat problem, he should really hire an exterminator to get to the source of the infestation. This way, even if the knocks continue, then at least that's one explanation ruled out, and they can focus on other possibilities to get to the bottom of it before it's too late. In the morning, he takes Peter out to the shed and makes him get a bag of rat poison. The kid mentions that it smells like cinnamon, but his dad tells him to be careful, saying that not everything is as sweet as it seems. They take the bag inside and spread the poison along the bottom of the walls, with Peter getting upset when he realizes that it's meant to kill them. Trying to make him feel better, the man argues that they have to get rid of them because they bring disease, and sometimes you have to make hard decisions. Keep your family safe. Later that day, while Miss Divine is reading to the class, she notices Peter making a strange painting, which looks like him in the bedroom, surrounded by darkness, with the words, "Help me," written on the wall. Thinking that he might be having problems at home, she decides to stop by his house after school to check in with Peter's parents. The boy's mother answers the door, but seems distant and cagey, as if she has something to hide. That's when she shows her the painting, but the woman simply blames it on her son's overactive imagination before abruptly ending the conversation and locking the door right in the teacher's face. Okay, this woman is suspicious. I get the feeling that there's something going on behind those doors that she doesn't want anyone else to know about. And if Miss Divine here is picking up on the weird vibes, then she should be starting to realize that Peter's family isn't as innocent as they seem. First off, before even stepping onto the property, we can clearly see that they keep all their windows completely covered by blinds and curtains, even in the middle of the day. It's understandable that some families simply prefer to have privacy, but it's odd that they wouldn't want to even let a little bit of sunlight in, especially when you factor in all of their other strange behaviors. Now, when most people answer their front door, they simply open it and stand in the doorway while greeting their guest. However, when Peter's mom came to greet his teacher, she stepped all the way out onto the porch and closed the door behind her, as if she didn't want the woman to even get a peek inside. She also hesitated when first asked if she was Peter's mom, as if she wanted to ask why before answering the question. Then, when the woman explained that she's his substitute, his mother immediately jumped into how subs don't usually make house calls. Instead of introducing herself and saying something along the lines of, "Nice to meet you," like you might expect. What's even stranger is that when Miss Devine said she wanted to come check on him personally, instead of asking what was wrong like a concerned parent would, she immediately tried to change the subject instead, saying that she was a teacher herself once, as if that would give her some credibility. Throughout the whole conversation, she never once asked why the teacher would think that Peter wasn't alright, and constantly delayed all of her answers, which is a sure sign that the person is buying extra time to think of the best response. Finally, after Miss Devine handed her the painting, she jumped right into the story about his overactive imagination, when a concerned parent would absolutely be asking questions about any other troubling behaviors that he's showing in school. At the end of the conversation, there was never any "thank you for coming" or "nice to meet you." She just closed and locked the door right in the woman's face after she drove all the way across town to personally check on her son. The red flags are piling up, but without any hard evidence of abuse, there sadly isn't much that Miss Devine can do about it right at this moment. Still, she should go back to the school and inform the counseling staff as well as the principal about her concerns and the strange behaviors that she's been noticing from Peter and his parents. This way, the school counselors can take the appropriate steps to follow up with Peter and move for intervention by local authorities if they decide
Wood barrel bourbon. This body wash, exceptional. The aroma is bodacious.
and move for intervention by local authorities if they decide that's necessary. The woman immediately storms upstairs and confronts Peter about the drawing, demanding to know why he's asking for help from strangers. He insists that he's not, but mumbles under his breath that she is, talking about the voice that he heard on the other side of the wall. Hearing him, his mother quickly spins around to ask him what he means. But Peter refuses to explain, and she warns him that his imagination is going to get him into trouble if he isn't careful. Just before 1 a.m. that night, Peter hears the knocking again, and the girl's voice calls for him to wake up. She tells him not to be scared, saying that she only wants to talk, but the boy tells her to be quiet, insisting that she isn't weak. Still, the voice keeps pressuring him, saying that he seems like he could use a friend, but promising to leave if that's what he wants. Caving to the pressure, he apologizes and asks her to stay so that they can talk, but that was his biggest mistake. In school the next day, all of the kids are on the floor painting pumpkins for Halloween, and Peter gets some special attention from Miss Devine, who says that his pumpkin Hector is the best in the class. This bully Brian notices how proud he is of it. That afternoon, Brian rushes up behind Peter and shoves him down, smashing Hector and stomping it out all over the playground. That makes one victim down, with 8 more to go. That night, the voice returns, asking Peter why he's so sad. He confesses that he's been having problems with bullying, and she encourages him to stand up to Brian so that it won't happen again. In the morning, Brian's mom makes him bring Peter a crappy replacement pumpkin, and all of the other kids laugh at him as he's forced to apologize. This isn't good enough for Peter, who's now hearing the girl's voice in his head, and he's about to let his intrusive thoughts win. After class, Peter catches Brian with his guard down in the hallway and decides that it's time to slide for Hector. After following him to the stairwell, he shoves Brian from behind and sends him flying down the stairs, badly breaking his leg. It turns out that Peter really had that dog in him, but after seeing the aftermath of his actions, he's completely horrified. And when the authorities find out what he's done, he ends up getting permanently expelled from school. Back at home, Peter's dad is absolutely furious, shouting that they didn't raise him to solve his problems with violence. His mom finally comes clean about the painting, and when Peter tries to explain that he really heard the girl's voice, his father gets even more angry, deciding that it's time for him to be grounded. He won't just be going to his room though, he's going to the basement, and that's when things take an even more disturbing turn. Pulling aside the refrigerator, the man reveals a strange, small door with a padlock on the outside, ordering Peter to go in. The place looks like a torture dungeon, with nothing but cobwebs hanging everywhere, and a makeshift bed made out of pallets in the middle of the floor. His mother promises that they're only doing this because they love him, before they shut off the lights and leave him there, trapped with no way out. Horrified, Peter calls out for the girl, but he gets no response, and can only sit there alone, crying in the darkness. After a while, he decides to look around, and finds a chain attached to a trap door that's hidden under the pallets. Flipping them over, he finds a metal grate that's covering up an even lower, hidden area of the basement. And when he looks down to the bottom, he sees a set of shiny white teeth smiling back up at him. Okay, being overprotective parents is one thing, but sending Peter to a dungeon in the basement? That's completely unhinged, and not to mention a felony. It's time for this kid to find a way to escape or fight back before things get even worse. Since he's an 8-year-old kid going up against 2 grown adults, escaping without conflict is definitely the best strategy. But the only door out of there is locked and blocked by a fridge, so he's going to have to my first thought would be to grab that wooden ladder and go around trying every window, searching for any weakness. It's a long shot, but it's also the simplest solution, so I'd want to rule out that option first before trying something else. Odds are good that none of those windows are unlocked, but there should be something in that basement that he can use to bypass the metal covering and break through the glass if he checks around. This could make a lot of noise though, so if he's going to go this route, then it'd be best to wait until nighttime. That way, he'd know that his parents were asleep and reduce the chances of them hearing anything. Or just coming down and punching him in the neck. If the windows don't work out, then the only make it look like I was lying in the bed, before waiting until I heard them coming to check on me and hiding somewhere just out of sight, like inside some of those cabinets, or even in the darkness, inside the stairs. And once they were distracted by Peter, I sprint up the stairs as fast as I could and hope for the best. He has to figure out a way to get out of the house and contact the police, but he still has to get out of the basement first before he can do anything else. So we go for the small victories here and take things one step at a time. Now Peter might not be ready to put the beat down on his parents just yet, but if he decides that that's the move, then he could easily modify the hide and run plan into a